Welcome back to the deep dive. You know how this works. You send us the source material, and, well, we dive deep to pull out the key stuff.
That's the plan.
Today, it's quite a classic you've sent over. Karate Basic Principles. This is the 1973 printing, but the book itself goes back to 67.
A real foundational text, then.
Exactly. So our mission for this dive really get to grips with the core techniques, the philosophy in this specific book.
And maybe find some bits, that listeners can apply day to day.
Precisely, even if they've never, set foot in a dojo.
Right. So we're looking beyond just the moves. It's about the principles, the mindset this book puts forward.
Okay, let's get started then. The book kicks off, interestingly, with body tension and breathing.
Mm-hmm.
You might think karate is just about movement, right? But this highlights controlled tension, especially for competitive stuff.
It talks about that moment of impact, striking or defending, generating focused power right then.
And straight away, it brings up hara.
Ah, yes, the center of gravity.
Oh.
Or equilibrium, as they put it.
And it says it's vital not just for karate, but judo and aikido too.
It's like this fundamental anchor point for stability for all movement, really.
Which, when you think about it, having a sense of your own center, that's probably useful in, well, almost anything.
Physically, mentally, maybe too.
Definitely. And then breathing. It's not just breathing. It's using breath to channel strength.
The book lays it out. Correct breathing concentrates your strength at a specific moment.
Inhale for relaxation, exhale for power. That seems intuitive, right?
It does. But then it gets more specific, this quick, almost explosive exhalation.
And that explosion, yeah.
And that ties directly into peak body tension, which leads to the KII.
The battle cry.
Right. But the book frames it as more than just a shout. It's a technique for achieving maximal tension precisely when needed.
It's like deliberately harnessing that, bracing instinct we all have.
Exactly. A focused version of it.
And here's a key point the book makes early on. All this power, this movement, it starts in the hips.
Yes. The hip as the origin of the total movement. Not just arms and legs doing their own thing.
You see that in so many disciplines, don't you? Core engagement.
Absolutely. From sports to dance. It underlines how crucial the core is for power and stability, pretty much universally.
Okay, let's shift to stances, the foundation, really.
Mm-hmm. Ukiwaza.
It starts with hachijidachi, calls it the basic stance, kind of the neutral starting point.
And then kibidachi, the straddle leg stance, wide, stable.
But what's interesting is the emphasis on relaxation within that stance.
Right. It talks about being able to glide smoothly, but also tensing the abdominal muscles.
While breathing through the diaphragm. So it's this mix of stable, but internally active.
Controlled power again.
And there's a specific move described, turning 180 degrees in kibidachi.
Pivoting on one foot, drawing the other behind.
Sounds fundamental for changing direction while staying grounded.
Highlights agility, doesn't it?
Reorienting without losing that base.
Then comes Zinkutsudachi, the forward stance. And the description is quite vivid, catapulting yourself into it.
So not just stepping forward, but a dynamic energy transfer.
Yeah, implies real intent.
And across all these stances, a consistent message. Keep an erect posture, keep the hip forward.
Alignment. For balance, for efficient power.
And body position, generally straight spine. Turn the body sideways.
To minimize the target area. Simple, practical defense logic. Make yourself harder to hit.
The book also details how you actually move between stances.
It's not just random steps. It's specific weight displacement, turning on the balls of the feet or sometimes the heels.
It paints a picture of very deliberate, efficient movement. It's striking how much focus there is on these foundational elements.
That level of detail on posture, stance, transitions. It really tells you something, doesn't it?
What's that?
That real skill, true mastery, it comes from nailing the fundamentals, deeply understanding them.
Absolutely. Okay, punches. Zukiwaza.
Sukiwaza, yes.
It starts with a very basic principle. A straight line is the shortest distance.
Logical. That's the idea behind Second Chokuzuki.
The straight thrust with the front of the fist. Specifically, these two knuckles, right? Gestures implied.
Exactly those two. Index and middle finger knuckles. That's the striking surface.
And the book has illustrations, 35 to 40, showing how the fist is cocked back.
And then thrust sharply forward, driven from the hip again.
That hip rotation keeps coming up.
It's central. And the book specifies only those two knuckles should hit the target. Incredible precision.
It's not just about the fist either. Shoulders relax.
Fist close to the hip before punching, elbow press back.
All these details contribute to that focused power.
Right. It's a whole system working together.
Okay, moving beyond punches, the book covers uchiwaza, striking techniques.
This is where it broadens out a bit.
Yeah, it lists several. Riken uchi, that's back fist, sometimes called uriken uchi.
Correct. And kentui-uchi, or tetsuchi, the hammer fist.
Then haishi uchi, backhand strike. Shutuchi,
Knife hand, a classic.
and uchi, the elbow strike.
So yeah, a lot more versatility here. Different angles, different striking surfaces, not just the closed fist.
Shows the range within karate striking, even at this basic level.
Definitely.
And then, of course, kicks, kariwaza.
Kariwaza, the book outlines the big ones.
Majiri, the front kick.
Yoko Jerry, sidekick.
Ushirajiri, kicking to the rear.
Mwashigiri, the roundhouse, probably the most famous one.
And hizajiri, the knee strike.
Yeah,
These are sort of the iconic karate kicks, I suppose.
pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But just knowing the names isn't enough, according to the book.
Right, it moves straight into exercises. For developing these foot techniques, practice is key.
Absolutely essential, it seems. It suggests a daily exercise.
Lift the right thigh parallel to the ground, snap the foot forward 10 times, then sideways 10 times.
And repeat with the left leg, building that sharp snap, that control.
Then there's target practice. With a small ball, like a tennis ball,
Suspended at chest level.
and you kick it lightly. Majiri Cage specifically mentioned that's a rising front kick.
Yeah, flicking upwards. 10 times right, 10 times left. Emphasizing accuracy, control, not just power.
At least not at this stage.
Exactly. Build the technique first.
And finally, it suggests combination kicks, putting it all together.
Advancing with a Maigiri. Follow with Yoko Geri right and left. Finish with Ushiro Geri.
So linking them fluidly, creating sequences.
These exercises really hammer home that need for consistent, dedicated practice.
It's a good reminder for any skill, isn't it? Repetition builds mastery.
No doubt.
Now, defense, ukewaza. This feels crucial.
It is. And the book puts it very bluntly. Defense precedes attack.
That says a lot about the philosophy, doesn't it? Neutralize the threat first.
Definitely.
And-
It breaks down defenses into 4 types.
Okay, what are they?
First, techniques that cause pain to deter the attacker. Make them stop.
Second.
Second, moves designed specifically to set up your own counterattack. Defense leading to offense.
Right. Third.
Third is simply avoiding the attack.
Right.
Turning the body, moving out of the way, evasion.
And fourth. This one seems interesting.
Fourth is attacking before the opponent does. Intercepting their attack, essentially.
So not always just reacting, sometimes taking the initiative, seizing control.
Precisely. And the book gives an example for developing the hip turn.
Using kibadachi again?
Yes, defending outwards to the front with gadanyuk, that's a downward block.
And immediately counterattacking. And again, it stresses the hip rotation for both parts.
That hip movement is just everywhere in this book. Integral.
Okay, so from specific techniques, the book then talks about kata.
The forms. Predetermined sequences.
Defenses, attacks, counterattacks, all woven together. It mentions there are about 50 kata.
They're like solo drills against imaginary opponents, a way to practice and internalize everything.
And it gives a little history here, too. Karate originated in China.
Developed further on Okinawa.
Hmm.
Gives you that sense of lineage.
But then it makes a really profound statement. The aim of karate is the perfection of character.
That elevates it, doesn't it? Beyond just fighting or sport.
It links the physical training directly to mental and ethical growth.
A common thread in many traditional martial arts, that character development piece.
And the book says learning karate requires understanding the sport, sure, but also self-critical training. You have to examine yourself.
Constantly refining, not just the moves, but maybe your attitude too.
And there's this beautiful analogy, the mind should be calm.
Like the surface of a village pond.
Yeah. Remove uneasy attitudes, agitation. It's about achieving mental clarity and focus.
That mental discipline is presented as just as important as the physical.
Which loops back nicely to hara.
Right. It revisits it. The focal point, center of gravity.
But it adds another layer. It says the end result, the ultimate aim, should be attaining an inner posture or attitude.
So it's not just about physical balance.
Yes.
But cultivating an inner strength, a composure, a way of being.
So wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for our listeners from this deep dive?
Well, it seems karate, as presented in this book anyway, is about much more than kicking and punching.
There's the physical mastery, body tension, breath from the center, precise movement from solid stances.
But just as vital is the mental side, that striving for calm, for self-awareness, for character development.
And this idea of hara, the center, the inner posture, That seems really broadly applicable, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The core principles balance, focus, generating power efficiently, mental clarity. You can see how they might relate to challenges outside the dojo.
Any task demanding precision or focus or resilience, maybe?
Exactly. It offers a potential framework.
What's really striking is how this old book presents karate almost as a system for self-improvement,
Discipline, self-awareness, constant refinement, physically and mentally.
which leads to maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
Go on.
Could these principles, laid out back in the 60s, offer a way to approach your life's challenges with more focus, better balance, maybe a stronger sense of inner grounding?
Is the dojo, in a way, a metaphor, a training ground preparing you for the bigger tests life throws at you?
Definitely something to mull over.